It was another seemingly ordinary afternoon when HOA Karen, as usual, decided she had the right to interfere with our lives. This time, her target was my Jeep. She had apparently convinced herself that she could enforce her personal interpretation of community rules by trying to use her master key on my vehicle. What she didn't know was that this would turn into another unforgettable episode in her growing list of miscalculations. Karen arrived in her signature SUV, parked haphazardly near my driveway, and marched straight to the Jeep. She fumbled with her key, trying to insert it into the lock, all the while yelling over the phone to someone she claimed was the authorities. My wife, who had been observing quietly from the porch, activated the hidden cameras to record her every move. Over the years, we had learned that Karen's attempts at intimidation always ended with her own humiliation, and we had learned to be ready. As she struggled with the Jeep, I walked calmly toward her, keeping my hands visible and my tone firm. "You need to stop," I said. "This is private property, and you have no authority here." Karen, ignoring the warning, tried to continue, insisting that she had a legal right to inspect or use the vehicle. Her voice rose in frustration, betraying the panic creeping into her usually confident demeanor. Before she could escalate further, my wife stepped forward, calmly announcing that the incident was being recorded and that law enforcement had already been notified about any potential harassment. At that moment, Karen realized that she had walked straight into a trap she could not control. Her attempts to assert authority were no match for preparation, documentation, and legal awareness. Moments later, officers arrived, responding to both her 911 call and our precautionary alert. Karen tried to argue, claiming that she was in the right and that I was obstructing justice. The officers, however, quickly clarified that her actions constituted trespassing and attempted theft. Her face turned pale as the reality of her situation sank in. The overconfidence that had carried her through previous neighborhood disputes evaporated instantly. As the police firmly but politely escorted her away, Karen's protests became incoherent. She tried to appeal to the officers' sympathy, insisting that she had been wronged and that we were violating HOA rules. The officers, however, were unimpressed. Every claim she made was contradicted by the evidence and the documentation we had prepared. Her frustration and panic were palpable, and her departure from the property was nothing short of humiliating. Once Karen had left, my wife and I reviewed the footage. Every second of her attempt to use the Jeep key had been captured, creating a permanent record of her trespassing, false claims, and irrational behavior. Neighbors who witnessed the event later confirmed what we already knew. Karen's arrogance had led her into another self-inflicted disaster. By the end of the day, my Jeep remained untouched, my property secure, and Karen's credibility diminished yet again. The incident served as a reminder of a recurring truth. Her attempts to intimidate, manipulate, or control were futile when met with preparation, calm reasoning, and documentation. HOA Karen had underestimated not just the law but also our readiness. And once again, it had cost her dearly. The episode became yet another legendary entry in her ongoing saga, reinforcing the lesson that overconfidence and entitlement, when unchecked by knowledge or preparation, lead inevitably to humiliation. For our family, it was a quiet victory, a reminder that while Karen might escalate, her antics could always be anticipated, countered, and recorded for posterity.